around, any thug can kill. I have to know I can trust you.
Well, I understand double O's have a very short life expectancy.
Hello, all you beautiful people, and welcome to the live stream. My name is Alex, aka In the Bat Loop, and look who's here. It's been a while, it's been a minute. We do miss him. We got my good friend and co-host of co-hosts, Justin. Welcome.
How you doing, Alex?
Good. I'm good. I'm excited because I will admit on live that I do miss you, miss having on the stream, miss talking to you, miss conversating, miss all the good
Likewise.
stuff. So, and I see you've upgraded. You got like all kinds of it's like you started off so young and you only had you didn't even have a microphone. Now you got the microphone all out and looking
I'm
professional.
full on committed, baby. This isn't the best mic. I'm gonna have to replace it at some point. But
Gotcha.
I do like the little tripod I got going for the mic stand. But anyway, what a time to be alive, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I woke up this morning and we get a trailer for Netflix's adaptation of Cowboy Bebop, which we're talking about James Bond, heavily influenced by the style of the older James Bond movies. And I'm just excited. Like even though this is the end of an era with No Time to Die, we're still getting that flair. And golly, man, that intro you just showed us. Like if you put that together, like bravo, bud. Bravo.
Thank you.
But that's the kind of style that you get from something as culturally impactful as James Bond. So I'm really excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me
You're
to talk
welcome.
about No Time to Die.
Nobody else in the world I would rather talk to than you because you're very knowledgeable with some movies. You can get very deep in conversation. Your perspective is different from most people. We can't. It's not like I'll bring up the movie and like, hey, that was a good movie. What'd you think? You're like, yeah, that was a good movie, and it's like, and put some more input. And if I ask you to put more input, you will get into the music and the different,
Oh yeah.
everything. You'll even pinpoint to the director. And you're like, did you see how the director, gave us this perspective on this angle because he wanted us to see this, but this is what's going on. So I love that. But yes, welcome you guys. And I know there's not a lot of people who've seen it, but anyone who has seen it, we'll try to not spoil it as much. I guess we'll do the non-spoiler talk like we always do, right? We do the non-spoilers and then we'll just go and get into spoilers. This is the final film of the series. Breaks my heart because I do enjoy Daniel Craig as James Bond 007. And I will admit that he's the one that got me into the whole James Bond industry, because before that, the only thing that I knew about 007 was a Nintendo 64 game called GoldenEye, and that was it. It got me curious to watch the film, but I didn't do it. So it was Casino Royale. I remember watching the trailer. I forgot what movie. When you go to the movie theaters and they play trailers, they played that trailer and it blew me away and it got me intrigued.
You know what year Casino Royale came out?
Wasn't it 2006?
2006.
Yeah.
We've had Daniel Craig since 2006, like 11 or 12 years, or 15.
15 years, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, it's bittersweet, but it is, he's pretty much the longest since I think Roger Moore to take on the role.
Yeah, and I'm glad it was him because, um, like I said,
Just
I
to,
like him, so
yeah, and just to give you perspective, Dark Knight came out in 2008. So you think about the Casino Royale is older than the Dark Knight, and how monumental. Like, because for me, it's like everybody's always talking about where were you in 9/11. For me, it's like where was I during the Dark Knight release? Because you know what I'm talking about,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
You know what? Yeah, so
That's
that's
that
kind of
is
where I gauge my you know
that is so
my time.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been, and if you think about it, this film actually was delayed, what, maybe a year or a year and a half?
yeah. It got delayed multiple times. It was the first movie to be delayed because of the pandemic, and it kept getting delayed until finally it came out. So
Yeah. Yeah, and here we are. And let me just start off this film. I have to rewatch some of the other ones, but I feel like this is up there with, because like my favorite of the series has always been Casino Royale, has been my favorite. But this one might be up there with that one. I want to say my second favorite might be it might be Spectre, might be my second favorite. Um, or Skyfall, one of those. But yeah, so this one, they did a really good job with this one. But anyways,
yeah, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no. I was just
No,
gonna.
I watched all, 4 of the previous ones in the last month leading up to this. Yeah, so
Okay,
I'm pretty fresh with those. Definitely Spectre is the worst for me.
a
Spectre is the
Spectre.
absolute nonsense.
Is it
Yeah,
Spectre or Skyfall that M dies?
Skyfall.
Skyfall. So
That's
then
my
it's
favorite.
Skyfall is my second one. Then there we go.
Skyfall is my
It's
favorite.
Skyfall.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would have loved to have her in this film. Could you imagine if she was like, I could, like, it would have just added. I mean,
I we'll get into this first. Like, let's talk about for the people who haven't seen the movie. What did you think of it? Like as a movie? No
as a
Time to Die.
as a
You said it
movie,
was up there with some of the better ones, so that's positive.
yeah, very positive. Real quick before I ask or answer that question, hello Katrina, welcome,
Hey,
welcome,
Katrina.
and welcome everybody that's come into the stream. If you haven't hit that like button, please do. It'll help out our channel and this video. And also, if you're not too shy, say hello. Would love to say hello to you. Yeah, we don't bite. So yeah, anyways, so yeah, as a film, I loved it because it gave me the action that I needed. Well, from what I'm expecting from a James Bond film, I need the action. The action was there. I need the car chase scenes. The car chase scenes were there. I need the cool special gadgets, whether it's a vehicle or whatever he's wearing. Those were impressive. Could they have done a little bit more? Probably. Maybe they didn't. Well, I feel like would have gone. What was getting in the way is there was two, I guess, 007, his replacement, and then him believing he was still, 007. And then she's trying to figure out, like, wait, I'm the new, there was a point where she was like, wait, so what's his,
Are we in spoilers right now?
um, we're not so much because that was kind of the talk on the internet. There was letting people know, like, there was a female person that's probably going to take over as, the replacement. So people had mixed feelings about it. So not so much a spoiler. Jake, take the like button out to climb the Eiffel Tower, then push it off to plummet to the ground. Smash. I love that. Welcome, Jake. Thank you for coming in. It gave
What's
me
up, Jake?
There was no slow moments for me. I was a little worried about that. It's usually when they try to end a
Yeah,
film, they feel like they'll force things. And so, hey, welcome to the stream. Glad you're here. And so, what else? Yeah, it gave me the action. It gave me the story. I love the story all the way to the very end. We'll get into spoilers about that. And yeah, everyone acted well. The music was great in each scene. I love the director's take on it. So yeah, as a movie, that's why I have it up there. I enjoyed it.
I would say that only watch this if you've seen at least one of the last two um, Daniel Craig movies, because this is very much a sequel. This is not standalone at all. This
Hmm.
is, I mean, in fact, it kind of picks up where Spectre left off, which was a hard sell for me because I did not like Spectre. I felt Spectre was the most boring, uninteresting, and just hardly did anything for the franchise. As great as Christoph Waltz is as an actor, him
Hmm.
playing such an iconic Bond villain in Blofeld, he plays it so deadpan, and he just smiles and says stuff like, and nothing he says. It's like, and it's all basic villain jargon. It's nothing really all that interesting. Where we got in this movie, Rami Malek Safin. Rami Malek, of course, uh, made famous from his roles in Mr. Robot, and of course, everybody's favorite music movie now, Bohemian Rhapsody. He played Freddie Mercury.
Hmm.
So we already know he's got some acting muscles, and he brings those here. He's relatively understated, and he's like most Bond movies. The villain's not around too much. He doesn't take a lot of screen time. Um, but the journey, I think this villain is one of the better villains, and
Yeah.
I think as an end to the Bond movies, I'm very happy we're ending after five with Daniel Craig, because this one does to an extent stick the landing, and I really don't want them to make another and like I want them to leave on a high note, and that's kind of what this is. I don't think this is the highest. I don't think this movie has any of the highest highs of the franchise, but it does work very well as a film, and it's very satisfying and very fun. The worst part though is I think the third act of it kind of slows down to where we're getting this spectacle and emotion, but it's, to me it's like it wasn't as inventive as the first two acts of this movie were, which were very entertaining, very fun,
Hmm.
and we're getting a lot of emotion and crescendo at the end, where it's, they have to, kind of hurry everything up and get to the conclusion and make the emotional resonance have weight. And so we sacrifice a lot of the fun Bond energy that we would get at the end of like a Skyfall, um, or a Casino Royale. But this movie, I think, is far from the worst, but it's not the best. It's probably very mid range in the Daniel Craig series, but it has some of like the highest. It feels the most modern, so it does have like epic, you know, scenes that a lot of like Casino Royale. If you watch that, that's a 2006 movie. You're losing a lot of that modern technology going into the action scenes. Um, but if you haven't seen any other Bond movies, go watch those first. If you haven't, you're missing out. If you have seen them and you don't like them, you will not like this movie.
Yeah.
If you don't like Daniel Craig, you will not. This is a celebration of Daniel Craig. You will not like this movie if you don't. So
I feel like, I mean, I can't say that, James Bond or even him as an actor is for everybody, but like I said, I was never interested in any of the films. Like I said, the only thing that had piqued my interest was a video game from Nintendo 64. And watching, like I said, I watched the trailer from watching another movie and I said, I'll go watch it. To when I went to the movie theater, I watched it actually twice in the movie theaters. To when it came out on the Blu-ray and DVD, I actually bought the film. But
Casino.
yeah, Casino, yeah. And I feel like if you haven't watched any of the James Bond films, if you're just kind of watching, you're just kind of curious what we're talking about, like, or just kind of see what we're discussing. I feel like if give it a chance, watch Casino Royale, and I feel like it will hook you in. If it doesn't, it's not for everybody, but I feel like that first film, it's a perfect film that hook you in into the series. And I really, each Bond film that came out, I was glad it was him and there was no replacement. I think there was one point they were going to replace him. I don't know. I don't forget which film it was, because I think he was kind of debating if he wanted to still do it or the
Um,
company wanted to do it.
it
So
was
that
after Spectre,
okay,
so right before this. We
okay,
Because remember Spectre came out like 6 years ago, so
yeah,
it's been
yeah,
these like between Quantum of Solace and Skyfall, it was like 5 years, and between Skyfall and Spectre, it was like 4 years, and then
Weird.
so they take their time between these movies and he's getting up there in age.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's I think it's time to move on. But I'm just glad get the high note in there, give him a nice send off, and don't screw anything else up with him. Don't make another movie just for the sake of having another movie.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's kind of what I felt Spectre was. Because if you remember Skyfall was all about it was kind of like a reboot of the Daniel Craig movies as they were, because it was like, hey, we're going to establish a new team at the end. And
Mhm.
then you get to that, like, oh, he's Bond has a team now, he's got a unit, and you move into Spectre, and hardly any of that is utilized, and it's just this like very boring kind of, not even a mystery, because they reveal who the bad guy is at the beginning, and it's like, oh, he's this leader of an organization, but I mean, they're not that menacing, and he gets tortured a little bit, but we've seen him get tortured. He easily gets out of it,
Yeah.
and it's just the worst thing they did with Spectre is they tried to retcon all the previous movies as if they were all the different villains were part of an organization, which sounds cool on paper, but the way they handled it, it was like, well, what does it matter? You know,
Yeah.
like Casino Royale. You know who the villain was?
Yeah.
He was just an accountant. He wasn't this super villain. He didn't have all these like super connections. He was kind of like in deep with them, and he was screwed, and he was kind of desperately trying to gain all this money by doing nefarious things. And yeah, Ana de Armas is the standout for me, by the way. Just
Yeah.
saying. Um, very, very underutilized. So if you go and watch this thinking she's going to be in the movie a lot, she's not. She's in it for literally one scene.
Yeah.
It's a great scene, but
it is just
but
one scene.
and she is absolutely, absolutely the best Bond girl in my opinion, just for that one scene. But it could just be they didn't give her enough time to screw it up. But yeah, like going back to the Casino Royale, that's a small scale origin story for Bond, and that's why I like. Thank God we get an origin story for Bond, because it makes it so interesting when you have a character arc that has a beginning and an end, which is
Yeah.
what we get from Casino to No Time to Die. And it's a great story. But Spectre is like just the worst thing ever, aside from the really cool beginning sequence with the Day of the Dead in Mexico. You remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a really cool beginning sequence.
I really love that. Yeah.
Um, but other than that, that whole movie is like they literally have a car chase scene in that, and we're going to talk about the movie right before No Time to Die. So you're setting the bar really low, so No Time to Die doesn't have to work very hard to be better. But there's literally a car chase in Spectre where there's no flips. There's like you see Fast and Furious movies, they do crazy stuff. They're literally just he's in an Aston Martin. Batista, who doesn't have any speaking lines, is in Ferrari, and they're both chasing after each other through like the streets of Italy at night, where there's no cars on the road except for one random guy in an alleyway who stops Bond. And the craziest thing that happens is Bond pushes a car with his car through an alleyway, and
Yeah.
while he's doing that, has a phone call. So there's like it's like that's the craziest action we get in the Spectre. He hardly has a character. The only thing about Spectre is we get the introduction of Madeline Swan, who is the main Bond girl in this one. So I was already going into this movie like thinking, ugh, we get more of, we have to continue the worst part of this franchise. But then with the new villain, Safin, they connect him to not only Bond, but uh, Madeline Swan as well. And so we get this kind of arc through him that is way more fulfilling than anything we had with Blofeld. But
Yeah. No. No. Yeah.
sorry to get long winded.
No. 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 That's all good. Yeah. You're on point on everything, and as you're bringing up or comparing, how what to you failed in Spectra and in this film. Now with well, he didn't get interested, but with Madeline, it took him a while because of Vesper of pretty much trusting, you know, which makes sense because that was a wild roller coaster ride. You didn't know, especially if you're watching some of the, that Casino Royale and what's the next, Quantum of Solace. You just, he went through a lot.
Yes,
He
she
loved
was
her.
Ashley. She was in a movie called Knock Knock with Keanu Reeves. Yes,
Not Keanu Reeves. Yeah, he was in love with her. So to be with this
with Vesper. Yeah.
Vesper, and to be with this one, like he finally trusts her, and now it went. She's like, well, do you want to get into? Let's get into the film. So if you haven't watched the film yet, you guys, ladies and gentlemen, leave now. We're for final thoughts. Go watch this film if you love the James Bond films, or if you're just curious and you haven't watched any. Start on Casino Royale, work your way up, and watch No Time to Die. Great film, and it's a great ending to a series. Because I've seen other, series of films, and they kind of get a little crazy. They kind of things start getting like don't make sense, or it's getting boring, or it's not good. But this, or the last film of it was not that great. That's why a lot of people say the first one's the best one, or maybe the second one. But then after two, it's like it gets kind of ridiculous. But this film did a great job tying everything and then finishing. So definitely go watch it. Your video keeps on
Yeah, you're
freezing.
lagging a lot, but I've been able to hear you, so hopefully
Okay.
they can hear you too.
Yeah, you guys. So if I might be lagging because of my internet. I haven't checked my internet when I got home. I kind of was like got off of work when I had to go real quick. So bear with me. But if you can still hear my voice, because that's all that matters, is I have that podcast voice.
The brooding bat voice.
Yeah. But yeah, because I really, what does it matter if you can see my face if it's kind of freezing? Yeah. But anyways, thank you.
Yeah.
Great audio, and welcome to the stream. So yeah, let's get into. So if you haven't watched the film, or if you don't care, yeah, spoilers, get out now. If you don't care, stay. So let me talk about the beginning. I guess the beginning scene where they're together, and she's pretty much telling him he needs to forgive.
Well, the beginning scene is Safin at the.
Let me get to this scene. I guess the scene where he's with Madeline. I guess not the beginning, but when he's with Madeline, and he tells her, or she tells him, you need to forgive Vesper, which leads to James Bond kind of like, yeah, I haven't had, I guess, a closure, right? He didn't really have closure with it, and kind of was.
My problem with that is Mathis says that to him as he's dying in Quantum of Solace, and it's like, still haven't forgiven Vesper. That was two movies ago, and Judi Dench, like your mom died, your fake mom. Like how many? Like you still hung up with, like.
Yeah. So I guess it had to take someone not dying to be like, okay, well, I mean, or a
two people dying. Mathis died. It's like how.
I guess if Madeline was dying, he would have been like, no. But
yeah.
No, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Probably what you were about to say. So just keep going. I'll get there.
Okay. So it leads him to realize, I guess, to have closure and to finally, like Justin was saying, so many movies later, to forgive her, which he goes to the tomb, which he didn't know there was a booby trap there, which kind of sets up the rest of the film. And he now, so he goes up there, right? Did he have a note, right? Did he have a note that he said he forgive her, or he was just standing in front of the tomb?
They both were symbolically burning something that they wrote down on a piece of paper, to kind of release their lingering feelings. Yeah. And right now James is dealing with he doesn't want to trust anybody, because the first time he trusted somebody to where he opened his heart up, she ended up being playing him. Thank you, Katrina. Please.
Thank you.
Yes. So he's had constant, other women throughout the franchise kind of they would either die or also betray him. So he's got this mentality where I can't let myself open up to anybody because I'm cursed, where up to this point, like almost everybody that Bond sleeps with dies.
Yeah.
Almost everybody.
Everybody, yeah.
There's there's like one woman I think that doesn't in between Skyfall and I don't remember if it was Spectre. Um, but at the beginning of Casino Royale, his woman who betrayed him still loved him and allowed herself to die rather than sacrifice James Bond's life. So he's got this. Not only does he have a trust issues, but a guilt complex and a hung up love on a girl he was in love with 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Still
Yeah.
cursed with him, which I would feel would be more weighty if we hadn't had the same kind of. I'm not trying to hate on it because I think it really does set this movie up very well. As far as like where his character is, but we do get the beginning of or the end of Quantum of Solace, which if you watch Casino and Quantum back to back, it's like a 4-hour movie because Quantum picks up immediately after Casino, like 5 minutes after Casino Royale, and it's dealing with the fallout of Casino Royale.
Yeah.
So we've already had the Vesper arc, and they're kind of dredging it back up, but with the really genius way of and it's kind of like they don't have much to work with as far as like his character, but what they do have they use pretty well, and I think it's really emotional when you're like, oh, Bond's having a good time now. This ain't gonna last,
Yeah.
and
No.
we kind of expect it to go
Yeah.
tragic, and of course it does with the
It does.
bomb. The booby trap is used.
Yeah, the booby trap. Yeah, and what's interesting though is that she, out of like you mentioned a few people that told him like forgive Vesper, like you gotta like let it go, forgive her, and it took Madeline to kind of, and it's just interesting. Is it because does he end up loving her more than he did Vesper, or do you feel like it's the same kind of love? Because it took
No,
him.
I think the woman he loved the most is dead, and he would have rather had Vesper, but he's got Madeline, and he's trying again with Madeline. So yeah, it's the same kind
Yeah,
of love. It's
same kind of love.
it's like any if you're a widow,
Yeah.
But again, it's so weird because I don't understand why him and Madeline are so into it. The only reason I think he feels bad about her dad dying. If you remember from was it this one or no? It was Spectre. I
Factor,
think.
yeah.
I think it was Spectre because her dad, kind of shoots himself because he's trying to protect his daughter. The Spectre will use his daughter against him.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like he goes to visit Madeline, and they kind of have like a few minutes of screen time together. She has one line where she kind of calls him out on his BS, where she's like, "Are you sure you don't want anybody? Is that the kind of life you want to live, where you just never let anybody get close?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be over Vesper by now. Hey, you want to go out?" Like it's like
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
very rushed chemistry that, and it's not that like him and Vesper in Casino only have like a weekend before they fall and head over heels for each other. So
Yeah.
it's not like he doesn't do this, but it's also like it's hard to care when they haven't really had a lot of chemistry together yet.
Yeah.
And it's hard to understand where their romantic feelings. But what we get it because of they've obviously been at this resort for
A while.
a while, so they know what they want,
Yeah.
and it's tragic all the same.
Yeah. So he goes there, booby trap, and as he's recovering from the booby trap, now his first instincts was like, you know, this is all Madeline, and he's like, this is what I get for
He
trusting.
betrayed me.
Yeah. And then like you said, you're like, oh, things are going good for him, and you're like, no, this ain't gonna last. And it sucks to see that, but and then he makes you as an audience, unless you already figured it out, which let's just say from my perspective, I did not. But at this point, I'm just like, that chick just stabbed him in the back. But then I'm like, no, maybe it's not her. So the whole time, I'm playing around like, no, it can't be her. So he's escaping, or he's trying to go back, and then he's getting chased and whatever. When he does finally arrive to the resort, this is where I kind of was like feeling at ease, like, oh, maybe it wasn't her but then again, some people, when they stab you in the back, they gotta, can pretend like I didn't do anything. Like if I run away, he'll know something's up. If I stay, won't expect anything. So he arrives and he right away, grabs her, and he's just like upset, and he's just like, this is what I get for trusting you. And she's kind of like, what are you talking about? Like what? And it's that moment he kind of like stopped and realizes like, maybe it's not her. But then he was like, you're coming with me still, because I'm so confused right now. I just almost died, and I don't know if you're part of this or if you're not part of it. So
Yeah, he can't. So I think it's a trap. Yeah,
yeah.
you can say that about all the Bond women, I guess.
Yeah.
it- but it's like it's really cool. Like I was complaining about their chemistry, but like it does bring you to this multi-layered character in probably the multi-dimensional James Bond we've gotten in Daniel Craig, where it's not only that, like, I think he knows that it's probably not her, but he's like, oh, I forgot that this is my curse. This is what happens to me. So if I stay with her, she's either going to die because my enemies are going to kill her, or she's going to betray me,
Yeah.
and I don't know what's worse, and I don't care anymore. I just need to go back to putting my armor back up and not letting anybody get it close, because this isn't the kind of life I get to lead because I'm cursed. And so
Yeah.
we see that in his, you know, he's reserved in his anger towards Madeline. Shout out to Leo Sado for having like the most. She just, if ice was a person, that would be her. She is
Yeah.
literally like ice personified. Um,
Hands down.
she's like more of a frozen queen than Elsa, I think. But
Hands
so
down. Yeah.
so she's, we're getting this like turmoil and conflict in Daniel Craig, which really is what makes this movie good. It's not like I said, it doesn't have the highest highs as far as like action scenes go, but
Mhm.
this story is got more heart than any of the others when it comes to that. Except maybe Skyfall with relationship with M, but we're talking about No Time to Die. So,
Yeah.
and
Um,
I do want to say when he finally, not to steal what you were going to probably say in a second, but when he puts
no.
her on the train, um,
Mm,
we get probably the
mm,
most creative
mm.
intro ever for a James Bond movie, because the train is starting to go. We're having this emotional, like, Madeline's like, why? Like, I love you, got me to love you, and you're leaving, and he's like, you'll never see me again. And we get the little dots that usually go across that ends up becoming the gun barrel,
Yeah.
and we get one of not the best but not the worst James Bond intro song. The best intro song is absolutely hands down the Alicia Keys and Jack White, because Quantum of Solace intro, um, which is another way to die. Absolutely, hands down the best. But like No Time to Die, the collaboration between Hans Zimmer and what's her name, Billie
Oh, Billie
Eilish.
Eilish. Yeah.
Great. I think it works very well as the stamp of the final movie, because it's very somber. It has a feeling of finality, but
Hmm.
I think this is probably like the third best intro we
Third
get.
best.
Yeah,
Now,
because if you want to rank them, I could rank them right now.
yeah. Well, I kind of wanted to get into that because that was to the
Yeah.
point I was getting to, is that because that's one of my
Mm,
favorite, because if we're gonna talk about favorite scenes in the movie,
mm.
is how it led to the train part, and then like you said, into the song. But now you brought up that song from Quantum of Solace. I don't remember it, so I cannot, like, obviously I can't, I would love to play it, but obviously copyrights. Yeah, and copyright, so I can, and I don't want us to get like it shut down our stream, but I
Do you
might have
know? Do you
to.
know the White Stripes? They sing a song called "Icky Thump." Forget, but it is the most like hard hitting, slappiest Bond song, and it's them and him and Jack White from the White Stripes and Alicia Keys, and it's called "Another Way to Die," and it's very very loud and upbeat and jazzy, where um ever since Skyfall we've gotten the somber songs, and the Adele. Everybody's favorite is Adele
Is that Dell?
from
Yeah.
Skyfall. Which I would say, like, we're talking ranking them. I would say number one, Another Way to Die from Quantum,
Mhm.
which just a lot of people hate Quantum. I like Quantum. It's not the best, it's not the worst. And so we got that is number one for me. Number two would be Skyfall from Adele. I think that is better than this. I think this would be number three. No Time to
Really?
Die. Number
See,
four would be Casino Royale, which was Chris Cornell, I
mhm.
think, did that. The last one, Spectre, is god awful. Like
Yeah, I
even
remember.
the intro of that is
Yeah, I
just like
remember it being
so
awful.
boring. And randomly there's like an octopus like creature
Yeah, I
doing
remember that.
octopus things.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because I guess
Now,
Spectre, I don't know.
now I gotta listen to the one with Alicia Keys, but like because the only ones to me are that are clear is the Adele one, Skyfall, and No Time to
When
Die.
the sky fall. Yeah.
But to me, No Time to Die, that one I love the most. Like to me, that one's number one for right now until I hear all the songs
Oh,
again.
I love it, and I listened to it probably 50 times before this movie came out because it debuted last year in like March when the movie was supposed to come out, and actually went on to win an award for the first time ever. A movie in a song
Yeah,
won the award for that, but the movie hadn't even come out yet. So
yeah,
uh,
and
that goes to show you what was going on with COVID and everything.
yeah, yeah. And then all you guys that are watching right now, if you haven't hit that like button, please do. If you're enjoying our conversation, a movie review of No Time to Die. Also, let us know in the comments, if you remember or if you know some of the songs from the movies, like which one's your favorite? What is your, you don't have to give us a list of like top four, just, which one is your favorite, I guess. Have you listened to No Time to Die? Do you think it's a really good song? Do you believe it's number one? For me, it's number one. And like we're going back to that scene now. So that scene, as he puts, she's like, "Am I ever going to see you?" And he's pretty much just like, "Nope, not you're not." And because he just felt betrayed, he felt like, "Oh, this is all Vesper all over again."
Yeah, he's like,
And
I'm not open. I'm not taking this risk
yeah, I'm
right
not
now.
taking this risk. Yeah,
He's like, he yeets himself out of that movie.
yeah. And then if you look at the lyrics to "No Time to Die," and the song and the beat up, it
Very
just
fitting.
worked. Yeah, very fitting in that scene. And it just gave me the chills. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that was done so well.
Yeah, it's like
And
I
so
think it's the most apropos song of like the lyrics match up to what's happening
yeah,
more because most of the time you get just a song that like Casino Royale, like I don't really know what that's like. The song doesn't have anything to do with Bond as far as like the lyrics go. So yeah,
mhm,
he's right about that.
yeah. Yeah, so if you guys, like let me know. If we haven't, go listen to the song, go look at the
Go listen
lyrics.
to all the
Yeah,
songs
all the songs. Yeah, yeah.
except for maybe Spectre.
Yeah. But because we're talking about No Time to Die, listen to that one
Oh,
specifically.
you know that. Okay, so you know the song Seven Nation Army.
Hmm.
You do.
Yeah.
That's the White Stripes. So just that style.
Oh.
I'm gonna fight them all. So that the guy
Oh.
from there, he made the with Alicia Keys the Quantum song. So anyway,
Okay. So now I'm more curious to
do
like,
your
okay.
because I why do I have a suit on? I don't. I just have a dress shirt, but like because I'm Bond,
Yeah, he's trying to
Jimmy Bond.
be James Bond.
I'm Jimmy Bond, guys.
And I'm looking at the lyrics right now. There's one where she's saying, "I let it burn. You're no longer my concern. Faces from my past return. Another lesson yet to learn." Like, do you guys? I'm telling you, look at the lyrics of that
I
song.
should have known.
Yeah,
I'd leave alone.
yeah,
It's like not a big Billie Eilish fan. I don't hate her, but it's like she's got like the perfect voice for like a 1920s noir jazz club to come
exactly.
out with like a femme fatale dress, like glittery femme fatale dress, and just have a cigarette and just smoking while she's
Yeah,
singing in front of them. Really, just a smoke filled, and that's what No Time to Die is. It's the sad, very very fitting to Bond, and you love it. The name's Case, just in case.
everybody's
All
giving
right,
me
case
compliments.
closed, everybody.
um. So yeah, a great song. to me, number one. So definitely go. And I feel like when you do a James Bond film, especially, um,
I also was going to point out this is the longest time I think I've ever sat in a Bond movie between when it starts and when the song happens, because
yeah,
it's like 5 scenes.
yeah,
So
you're
we
right.
get a full on action scene like that. Like anyway,
And
it's
you're right
real
because I
long.
remember when I watched the film, I was like, we're not gonna get no intro, like what's going on? And then it was just the director's like, just be patient, watch how I put this in, perfectly here in this spot. As you guys are
Mhm.
seeing, you're thinking there's this, James Bond's in love again, things are going good. Oh snap, there's a bomb. Oh snap, he's not trusting her. Oh snap, he put her on a train, and he's saying, you're not gonna see me because I'm not doing this again. And then you play the perfect song. It was just like, oh,
Yeah,
that build up.
The director's like, James Bond's in love, having a retirement, not in my house.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was perfect. So uh then trying to think, is there any scenes? So that was, I wanted to start off with that. That was one of my first scenes. Is there a scene
Oh,
for
you
you?
got to talk about the intros to James Bond. You got to.
Okay, let's
No, no,
let's
no,
talk.
no. I'm saying like in general, we already did. I'm not saying let's do
Oh,
more.
okay. Do more.
I'm
I thought you
saying
were talking
like,
about, I
of
was like, well,
course
if you
we
wanna,
did it because you have to do it.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Sorry.
if you guys watched the intro to this video, I kind of did the little, the little bullet. That was pretty cool. But anyways,
Perfect.
um, now I want to bring up. So he meets, or Felix goes in con. Let me get to that because Felix is, to me, one of my favorites, and I love his chemistry with Bond and that friendship that
Are
they
you
started.
excited to see Jeffrey Wright play Commissioner Gordon in the Batman?
Yes, I am actually.
He is so good of an act. I
Yes,
love Jeffrey Wright. Love
yeah,
Jeffrey Wright. Great actor.
yeah. One of the just real quick because you brought that up. The first teaser trailer of Batman and just watching him, and I was just like, ooh, I'm gonna love this. But anyways, um, Felix. So he meets, Felix pretty much reaches out to him, and at this point, James is pretty much, again, is, somewhere off the grid so that no one can find him. So Madeline doesn't find him, so he can kind of just like be in his own thoughts and kind of just doing his own thing. And I think, if you think about it, Felix is the only one friend I think he trusted for a while. Um, and
I mean, honestly, Alex, Felix they have a mutual respect, but they literally don't talk to each other that much. They're
they
just kind
don't.
of like throughout the movies up to here, he was just kind of there. What makes Felix special is he's a iconic James Bond character, kind of like Moneypenny or M or
Yeah, yeah,
Q.
yeah,
He's been around. There's multiple people who played him, so it's like he's part of the mythos. So bringing the importance here, I think we got more Felix in this movie than anything since Casino.
yeah.
But we didn't get much of him in Casino either. He's just
No,
kind of
no.
there for the card game.
Yeah, he was there. I mean, and he was the one that kind of was like, "Hey, don't give up. Like, I'll let you take, my spot and everything," which was,
I'm your brother from Langley.
yeah. And again, that's where the friendship started. That's probably where a little bit of the trust started. And
It seems anti-American to an extent because Felix just never really succeeds in anything he does. Like they're just like,
no,
man, the American intelligence sucks because James Bond over here like getting stuff done.
yeah, no, you're right. So, and what I love what the director did was, because like you said, he doesn't show up a lot, and there's not a lot of conversation going on in the other films. But in this film, he's showing Felix a lot, and he's kind of showing that friendship and that bond that they have in there. There's trust.
There
Now,
must have been an off-screen history between the two
yeah,
of them.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Now Felix isn't alone. He's with a new recruiter, which the moment he shows up,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, I already knew. I was like, I don't like this guy. I don't trust this guy. He's going to be, something's going to happen with this guy. He's getting me these like bad guy vibes, like I don't trust you kind of vibes. So,
Yeah,
and
this is more of the it's a trap that Ashley was talking about. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah,
So
but we didn't talk about. I don't know if it was before we get Felix in this movie, but one of the coolest shots ever. I think it was before, where we have the scientists working in the disease, experimenting on the disease, right, in the
was that
skyscraper,
before?
and we get because I think they have the case of the stuff from there, because we
Yeah.
have to establish that the scientist defected and is working for Spectre.
Yeah.
Spectre. He's this is kind of like very very espionage plot here, because we get a outside third party working as a having a mole for Spectre.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, instead of having a mole for like the good guys right off the bat, we have a mole for Spectre. So Spectre is not the main bad guy here,
Yeah.
the organization, and there's another organization that is not named working against Spectre, or if it has a name, I forgot the name.
Yeah.
But we get this kind of classic Bond villain character who's this like scientist who just won't shut up and is just like kind of sociopathic and just like, I want to survive. He's very like Igor to Dracula.
Yeah.
But we get one of the coolest like examples of what I really love this director brought from the subway or the train scene with the intro fading into that, but with the siege of like the 100th floor of a skyscraper in a city. We get this great shot of like the camera rotating as the guys are like grappling off the window and cutting into the window and going in there and wrecking stuff, and it's this really tense scene. And
Yeah.
it's not anything we haven't had anything like that in any of the other Bond movies. So we've never had a siege like that. So that was really cool. I wanted to bring attention to just the cinematography of this movie. And the first two acts are phenomenal. Even when we get to what Alex is bringing up, the Felix stuff.
Yeah. I for some reason I thought that was afterwards, but you're right. That's when they.
I think it's before.
Yeah, I think it is before, because that's when they break in, and then the the scientists, like, they were kind of, what did they I don't know, something with this.
They were
food or
joking
something.
about playing a prank on him, like they labeled
Some
his
kind of
food
disease
like
or something.
disease
Yeah,
or something.
yeah,
And he was like, "Oh, it's not funny. I'd kill you." He's in a weird whatever accent he had. But it's very it is the most like classic Bond character we've gotten this whole franchise, because they've all been very modern and grounded. No, this is a straight up Igor. I want the formula. I have weird accent and I'm very upbeat and cowardly.
So with this scene's important because the scientist, which I don't remember his name.
No, who cares?
Excuse me.
We'll just call him Igor.
Igor, yeah. He pretty much is the maker of this. What do you want to call it? A chemical? It's not really a chemical, because it's their live. What do they call it? That
It's
gets
nano
nano
virus, I think.
Yeah, like nanovirus or something.
Nanotechnology.
Yeah, nanotechnology, and it's almost like, something live that just kind of seeps through your pores of whatever contact, hands, face, whatever. And so he knows, he's a secret weapon. So that's why they had to go in and get him.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of Bond tropes in this movie. We didn't even talk about his Aston Martin in the beginning of, having the machine guns and doing that little spin
you're right.
around.
Before he put her on the train.
That's the only time we see it. I'm kind of happy about that.
Yeah.
Because like, I like it and it's cool, and I feel like it's cool that it shows up, but we've already seen it. We saw that car in Skyfall. We saw it in Spectre. We see it here. What more can you do with this car? Like we pretty much gotten everything we needed to get from.
Yeah. And I think
He
that's
uses
why
it more here than he had with like smoke and bombs, but it's not as interesting as the other Bond stuff we see Daniel Craig.
No, yeah, because he's pretty much trapped. It's kind of cool to see from the inside, like they're getting shot at, and it's just bulletproof. And so you just see the
tension between him testing Madeline. Like,
yeah.
He's like, "You have something to tell me? You got something to tell me?" And she's like, "No, I don't." And he's like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah.
I will blow us both up right now." And he's like, "All right, fine." And so he, ends up trusting her. But
yeah, and she's freaking out too, because her anxiety's going up, because even though it's bulletproof, she's just like, she's hearing the sounds, and it's just the
they're shooting at point blank range.
Yeah.
It's gonna go out eventually.
And she keeps saying Bond, 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 and he's just sitting there like, then he kind of just spaces out, and I guess he was just, I don't know if he was thinking of an escape plan or like.
No. He was in control. What he was doing was he wanted her to crack and be like, "I did it. I betrayed you," and all that.
Yeah.
But she didn't. And so he's just pissed at her, and he's like trying to get her to crack. And he's like, threatening her. It's kind of like, if you're on it's in the same way that you're, yeah, but it
007 bad as well.
it just doesn't feel earned, like, because it just kind of shows up when he needs it to, and they don't do, like, it everything we see this thing do, we've seen the Fast and Furious movie do, that all of those do better as far as like car stuff. So I enjoy it, but it's like I don't need it. But it's he's like threatening her. It's sort of an interrogation, and she's has nothing to confess to. So
Yeah.
he ends up just believing her and taking control again. But that was really cool. You were really tense, like,
Hmm.
if you believe Madeline too, it's kind of heartbreaking to see James. He's dealing with PTSD and all the trauma. But anyway, I don't want to
Yeah, yeah,
rehash. We
yeah.
already talked about it.
Yeah, we took it.
Back to
Um,
well, let's move on, since we're, if you don't mind, we can go back to the scene where Felix and everything.
yeah. So Felix talks to him. He's got a new buddy, and I guess that you can show that Felix doesn't is poor judge of picking out partners, I guess, or if they
I don't know if
assigned
he
him,
picked him. Yeah, they
or if they
assigned
maybe
him.
assigned
He would
him, I
never have
guess.
chosen him. No,
But you would think that if they assigned him, why would he bring him around James Bond? Like it just kind of like you would think you just get those vibes. But anyways,
because
um,
he's like, I'm your partner and I'm going where you're going. There's nothing you can do to stop me. And he's like, fine, whatever,
yeah,
greenhorn.
yeah. So Felix was, if we fast forward a little bit, he's the one that convinces Bond to like, you need to
Get back in. Yeah.
get back in. He gave him some interesting details, and then Bond's like, huh, okay, okay, I'll you convinced
He's
me.
like, Spectre's involved, and there might be some like Madeline stuff too. You wanna check this out? He's like, fine. I'm gonna stop being a miserable retired person in a
Yeah.
crazy looking resort in Jamaica. Oh, this movie is the first Bond movie where when we go places, they don't have the splash title of where it is. Like, did you notice that?
Oh
It
yeah,
doesn't
I
say. So there's places where it's like, where the hell are they? Like,
yeah,
I
because
don't even
like
know where they're at the beginning with him and Madeline. I don't know where
yeah,
that is.
we don't know where they're at the resort, and then we don't know where he's at, where he kind of just went off the grid for a little bit.
That's Jamaica for sure,
You
because
think
I
it's
can
Jamaica?
tell.
Okay.
Yeah, I can
I've
tell.
never been to Jamaica, so
I've never been, but I've been to the islands, and I know, like, that was either Haiti or Jamaica, and I'm pretty sure it was Jamaica. I actually had a conversation with a Jamaican passenger, because there's a lot of Jamaicans who work, and I'm an
mhm.
Uber driver, and she said that it was filmed in Jamaica, so I trust her.
Okay.
I guess that was Jamaica.
In that Jamaica.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And so Felix convinces Bond to do this mission. Now, I'm trying to think if M, because he had contacted, did M, he contacted M, right?
Well, he
Where,
was kind of like, you know,
c-
faking contact. Like, he contacted him, but he was like just prying. And
yeah,
it's been longer since I've seen the movie than it has been for you.
okay.
So I'm trying my best, but anyway, like, stuff's going down. Felix knows about it. The MI6 knows about it. It turns out that it's the MI6's fault. It's
Yeah.
a problem they're embarrassed about,
They're
that's
trying
gone
to,
wrong.
yeah, and they're trying to,
So they're not trying to be like honest and open, because they don't want to, you know, incriminate themselves. So Bond is, of course, butthurt about that, because he's like, "Oh, I leave MI6 for 2 weeks, however long, and this is what happens."
yeah.
And so anyway, we get the scene. Again, it's hard to know what the order is, because the first act, I feel like you and I know what the first act is. We
Yeah, the
just don't
first
know the
act, yeah.
order of it.
The order,
But
yeah.
uh, but like, but we know that they've ultimately, he goes to Jamaica. He's got the contact there that turns out to be Double O Seven, the new Double O Seven, who's also there. Kind of, we get the two factions kind of going after the same thing, and Bond is there as well. I
Mhm.
love how he meets up with her, and they make it seem like she's all about flirting with him and taking him home and all that. And
Yeah,
he
and it
goes
was
home.
like,
He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm not interested in you at all. I know you're a spook. What's going on? What's
yeah.
going on? What you working for? Which government you working for?" So,
Which
yeah.
in that meeting, she pretty much told him to get out of the way, right? She was just like,
Oh
"You're gonna,"
yeah.
yeah. She was like, "You're gonna be in the way, so just get out of the
She's
way."
like, "You're retired. Let me do my job." And
Hmm.
he's like, "You think I look this awesome because I'm not James Bond? You think I'm not going to get involved?
Yeah. And like being a fan of like him being 007,
Does
like
that
I
bother you? Does that bother you? Does that I'm 007? Does that how does that make
yeah,
you
yeah,
feel?
that's what
He's like,
and so it was that moment that I was disliking her as a character. I was just like, I don't like you. And
well, I mean, I think that like if you're a fan of James, if you're rooting for James, she's a foil. She's a not an antagonist, but she's an obstacle.
yeah,
But I think that's important to this like the story of this movie because it's showing like you're not relevant anymore. You're the old way of doing things. I'm the new way, and you gave all of this up. So he's dealing with that. He's like in a really dark place, and he's kind of climbing out of that. And it if I don't really remember, I remember we get to Cuba, but before that, we do have Felix on the boat with his obviously nefarious greenhorn.
yeah,
Probably the most like desperate scene I've ever seen in a James Bond movie, where he's literally sinking in a ship, and Felix is dead. I mean, it's this like heartbreaking scene where he's in the middle of the ocean with no way out, and I don't even remember how he escapes. I think is it 007 saves him, or
no,
how does he get out of there?
he found an opening.
Plane?
Oh
No,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
but
oh yeah,
he's
yeah,
the.
yeah. He no, it was a boat, or a ship. He
Oh
was
yeah, yeah.
on the
He's on the raft.
he's on a raft, and there was a ship that honked his
Picked him
little,
up, and
yeah,
he rode it to Cuba,
yeah,
and just so happened to have his passport. Thank goodness.
yeah, yeah,
But it's like of all the ways for Bond to get out of a situation, that's probably the most basic way for him to just be stranded in the middle of the ocean on a life raft, and
hmm,
by chance a boat. The odds of that happening in real life,
yeah,
like that, there's a whole movie called Life of Pi. Go watch that. See if
yeah. And see
see if
the
people are going to be
chances.
finding you in the ocean and be like, "Oh, there's a dude in a raft. Let me go pick him up."
Yeah,
But that's movie's got to go, and we go to Cuba, which again they tell you, but they don't show it, which I missed. I don't know why they didn't decide to do the splash text. And Felix's contact there is this fresh out of school trainee, the hottest freaking blue dress you've ever seen in your life in Cuba. It's Ana de Armas. I'm sorry if I'm stepping too much over your
no, no,
toes.
no, no. Yeah, go. Yeah, you're getting on the
I'm
pacing.
trying to, well, I'm not trying to do the full recap, but I do
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
point
we're
out,
just jump. We need to jump to. You're
yeah,
doing good on jumping into the
yeah,
most important scenes of the movie, which makes
and
the film great.
we get some more like enhanced classic Bond where they're in the not Life of Pi. All I'm saying is that if you're stranded in the ocean,
Yeah, the
like
chances of a ship or anybody. Yeah,
because they find him like it looks like a few hours after
hmm,
he's stranded, not like a week where he's
yeah,
barely survived. Like because the odds like the ocean's a very very big place.
yeah. It is.
I imagine the Caribbean um probably having more marine traffic than like India, but like Jesus, like that was unlikely. That was like a
Yeah,
weird plot thing, but it
it
worked, and
was.
it,
But
moving
yeah,
on. And so he gets to Cuba, and you know he Ana de
mm,
Armas we're talking about. Um,
yeah.
and yeah, she's gorgeous. I've her and Bond have actually her and Daniel Craig have been in a movie together already, Knives Out.
Mm.
So he's probably like, hey, you should
Wait,
get
who is
her.
she? Who is she in Knives Out?
Have you seen the movie?
Yeah, I've seen the movie. I love the movie.
She's like the main character. She's
Wait, is she's the one that's trying to figure out like what's? I mean, for
she's
people,
the I
the one
guess
that
not
was
his
took care of the
maid,
old.
but
Yeah, that took
yeah,
over
yeah,
the care.
yeah,
What?
his caretaker. Yeah,
I did not know that was her. I love
she's
her.
also in my favorite movie of all time, Blade Runner 2049.
I haven't seen
As
that.
the that's man, if you like cinematography,
What? I gotta look this up now. But anyways,
you know what?
continue as you're saying
But
that. Love
but yeah,
her.
so he's probably like, hey Anna, you want to go? You want me to get you in touch with my director? You want to be in this Bond movie? And she is just
I love
like
her.
They have a really awkward exchange where she takes him into a closet,
You think
and
something's gonna like?
no, not even because, but she's like, "Let me take your shirt off." He's like, "I can take my shirt off." She's like, "Oh, I'm not. I don't know how this works." And I'm like,
Well, then there's a part where he's about to
"Who's? Do
change.
you usually undress people? Like, is that usually your thing that you
Well,
do? Like,
I thought there was gonna be something going on because even when he was about to undress and he's looking at her and he's like turn around and she's kind of like smirking as she turns around, like if she won, she's attracted to him obviously. So it's just like I don't know the way they were
she was
communicating.
so charming and cute. Like she outdid um Bond's charm, and that was
Mhm.
what like he's getting up there in age, but he's still got like he's still Bond. So all the girls are like,
Yeah,
fawning over him. But like she just seemed like so giddy, like a schoolgirl, to be finally having an assignment. And yet, as the assignment continues, she is super composed and badass and able to kind of. No, I don't want to undress in front of her because I don't want to traumatize her too much. I don't want to give her nightmares. But anyway, the uh, I,
but
I
yeah,
wear the shirt to cover up my shortcomings. Thank you.
so like you were saying with the scene with her now when they get into the actual because it was a party, she's got the earpiece on and she's communicating with Bond and like you said just composure. She went from like you said all kind of like you know it was her first gig and everything and then it
Yeah,
calmed
she was in
down
Blade
and
Runner,
now
Ashley.
she's composed and professional and and like you said the shortest scene that she has in this whole film excellent. Anyways, but they're walking around and they're looking for the scientist, right? That's the mission. They're looking for the scientist.
Yep,
Now, um,
Igor.
yeah,
That's
Igor,
not
yeah.
his name, but that's
Yeah.
what we're calling him.
One of the key, so we're talking about key moments in the film. This one's really key because as they're looking around for the scientist is working on the the X project, let's just call it that. And he, distracted the guy to drop the little piece of DNA or I guess you could say it's
Yeah,
DNA again.
Spectre is having him modify the nanovirus
Nanovirus,
to
yeah.
attack Bond,
Yeah.
but he's double crossing Spectre, working for Safi
Hmm.
and Rami Malek's character, the main villain of this. And yeah, they have that whole scene where they're at this party. It's an extravagant looking party. Oh, they got all the old cars outside because it's Cuba.
Hmm.
Um, and what's her the other 007 is hot on their trails. She actually, speaking of which, that 007 played Maria Rambo and Captain Marvel. So it's good to see her doing other things.
Wouldn't know.
Yeah. I mean, I know you're not a Marvel guy, so um but we get a cool scene because this is where we get more tropes with the Bond movie. This movie might have more of like the well done Bond tropes than any other Bond movie with Daniel Craig. We get a scene where they have a pillow and there's an eye on the pillow, like a
Hmm.
cybernetic eye that is
Yeah.
feeding information to Blofeld, who is in prison, played by Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
Um, and turns out everybody at this party is Spectre. Everybody at this party is Spectre,
Yeah.
and they
And they
think
know
they go ahead.
I was gonna say, and they know James is there.
Oh
So
yeah, they always know James is there from Spectre. Like if he's in a room where Spectre, like they know he's there, which doesn't seem like the most strategic thing to do because in Spectre they could have just shot him and he just gets away. In this, they could have just shot him. There's like 50 people in the party, and I'm sure at least 10 of them are armed. Can he take down 10 people? Probably, but I just they didn't need to use the gas, but they did, and unfortunately, everybody who is in Spectre was targeted with the um, nanovirus when it's unleashed, thinking that Spectre is releasing it on Bond. Um, so and in fact, everybody there who's Inspector gets targeted instead, which was like crazy plot twist, not the kind we've gotten in these Daniel Craig movies. So we get when it comes to like the unfolding of the plot, there's a lot of twists and turns in this that are really good. There's nothing like spectacularly like amazing to look at here, but it's just you know a cool idea that it is implemented with how that Spectre itself, the classic Bond organization, has been um thwarted by outside influence. So it makes the main villain more threatening because he's the one who took down Spectre instead of Bond, and it also makes you ask those questions to where Bond and uh, Paloma, I think is her name, Anna de Armas's character, kind of run out. They run into 007. They're trying to get the scientist. There's some action going on. And this is where Anna de Armas is like also really good at gunplay too. And we get sort of our first. This one feels more like John Wick than any of the Bond movies go in terms of like the gunfights. There's a lot of like, is your mic good? How we doing? Still, yeah, still out of it. Um, so we get a lot of these. I remember this is where the movie is kind of like what I was saying. It's not the most impressive. It's the gunplay is better than other Bond movies, but it's not like if you want to watch a guy shooting up a bunch of people, John Wick is much better. So it's kind of like in that sense, it's good, but it's not the best you'll ever see. Um, and I can't remember how we get from Cuba to the next scene because like I will say the third act of this movie is kind of where it falls apart, and I would still consider the Cuba stuff being in the first act. But yeah, shout out to Anna de Armas. I think she's the greatest Bond girl. I think she's cute and charming. And after Cuba, they go their separate ways, and she is just not seen again ever. She's gone. I thought she was going to come back. I really could have used more Paloma as a character, but she's just gone forever. Do they end up with the scientists? Do you remember? No, technical difficulties. I was trying to stall the discussion. He'll be back. So anyway, while he's gone, I don't want to get into more of the plot without him to like where we're really getting into the movie. I do. I want to talk about kind of like the villains. So of all the villains we've had in the James Bond movies, I think Rami Malek is probably up there, but he's not the best. Um, I have my notes here. Yeah, so we have in Casino Royale, we have Lashif, played by my favorite actor, Mads Mikkelsen. He's known for Hannibal in the NBC series of Hannibal. I really liked him. He's very iconic as he's bleeding from his eye. He's really good at poker. He's this really like very low, not the most threatening villain. We do have that iconic scene of just the most unsettling torture scene I've probably ever seen in a
All right.
movie.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I segued to talking about the villain, so I wouldn't go into the plot without.
Okay.
Um, Sky, I do think
sounds good.
the best villain of the Bond movies is the villain from Skyfall, Javier Bardem, who is
Oh
Thiago
yeah,
Silva.
definitely,
Um,
definitely.
and I feel like Christoph Waltz in Blofeld was just trying to do the exact same thing that Javier did, and it just didn't work for me. Very, very deadpan and you know, kind of like there is a dementedness to Javier Bardem that Christoph Waltz tries to portray, but he's just very calm. He doesn't seem very angry. He doesn't really seem like he just always seems like not in control, but just like detached and not caring about what's going on. Dominic Green in Quantum of Solace is just a kind of a very regular guy. Like he doesn't have any all the other villains have something wrong with their face. except for Dominic. Dominic's just a regular guy. So yeah, I think if we would rank the villains, Rami Malek is probably number 3 for me, out of 5. So he's, like I said, very middle of the road. Lashif, Javier Bardem is number 1 as Tiago for me. Absolute best Bond villain I've seen. Almost had it, but still having technical difficulties. I don't know if Alex agree. He can give me his opinion in a second, but I like so we get Javier Bardem's number 1, Tiago Silva, Casino Royale, Le Chiffre, number 2, Mads Mikkelsen, Quantum of Solace, or excuse me, No Time to Die, Rami Malek, Safin. He is we didn't talk about at the beginning of the movie. He is connected to he is actually in love with Madeline Swan. Madeline Swan's dad is an assassin named Mr. White who literally killed the main villain's family. So he wanted to get revenge and went to kill Madeline's dad, but her dad wasn't home. It was just her and her mom. He killed her mom. He goes to kill the daughter, and he decides at the last minute not to kill a little girl. So he's like connected to her past. Um, Following through with like the Bond villains, we normally don't get to see them until like the third act of the movie, like right at the beginning of the third act. We start this movie off with the villain in Safin with Rami Malek, but he's number 3. I think Dominic Green from Quantum of Solace is more of an interesting villain than Christoph Waltz and Spectre as Blofeld, which is a shame because Blofeld is supposed to be like the Joker to Bond, but he's just very unthreatening, hardly does anything, and Bond escapes from him by having
Alright.
a floating watch.
Can you
So,
hear me?
yeah, I don't know if you heard what I was saying, but
I didn't. I had to exit out. But what I do know is that when it does do this, I have both of my microphones here. Yeah,
we're
it's
good.
probably we might be good. We might have to
Go.
a little
I hope
fast
everybody
forward.
didn't leave. Everybody still watching? Hi guys, thanks
Yeah.
for sticking with us. If you have,
Let's
um,
because there's a lot of points I want to make, but if it keeps doing this, like I don't want to. Let's fast forward a little bit to um
well, I don't. I remember him. So the big
Cuba.
plot twist. So we finished Cuba. I don't
Finish
remember.
Cuba.
Did they get the scientists? Did they get him, or did he escape? I think he escaped.
He
Right?
escaped. Yeah,
Yeah.
he escaped because Bond and the new Bond, the 007,
007.
where they were going back and forth to eventually, what's her face? Anna, she crashed the vehicle to where he collapsed, and then they ended up getting him, and they ended up going to where they had to go, which I think.
Yeah, I don't remember this part of the movie at all, honestly. But
You don't remember? Yeah, she
no,
crashed the
but
car and then they grabbed them. But now after that scene, I don't remember. The only scene that comes clear to me of them bumping into the scientists again is when they actually go to um his lair, I guess you want to say, or his
yeah.
laboratory, and now
Um,
both 007s are there. But like that's jumping towards the end, and so
yeah.
it's like,
I would say Cuba probably is like either the end of the first act or the start of the second,
yeah,
and most of the second act is about getting Bond back to MI6, getting the MacGuffin fully explained with M talking about, oh, we made this thing to kind of, make our agents invulnerable because all they had to do with this uh, mo- nanovirus
yeah,
is walk
nanovirus.
into a room, and if the DNA was targeted to the right people, they could just release the virus and it would kill everybody but them. But we also find out that is good foreshadowing that the nanovirus, because of the way DNA works, anybody who is related to the target is also affected by it.
Yeah,
It is instantly lethal. Um, they have to bring Madeline Swan because they have to interrogate uh what's his name? Blofeld,
Blofeld.
who's in prison on the movements of Spectre and the possible um intentions of the virus.
Now
Who's
the
using
part
the virus.
now the part that we skipped on, and like I know I kind of
I
want
don't
to
know
fast
what
forward
you're
it.
skipping
Yeah,
is
no, you're skipping. Because I'm having mic issues that I just don't want to. Because there's a lot of good points, but the one that I forgot was when um his name is Safin in the
Mhm.
movie. He did bump into Madeline. We forgot about that flashback where
I,
he went into
I spoke about that like when
Oh, a
in the
little bit.
beginning
Okay.
of the movie when you were
So
off mic. Yeah.
for a lot of you guys, he reappears in front of Madeline. She thought she'd
She's
kind
a
of like,
psychiatrist,
yeah,
which I
she's a
don't
psychiatrist. Yeah.
remember really ever being touched on. I mean, I'm sure they
Yeah.
did.
It just kind of, yeah, it was
It's
kind
like,
of
oh
there.
yeah, she's a psychiatrist, and
Yeah.
apparently she's the only person that Blofeld will talk to. And so, yeah,
Yeah. And so Safin is like, I need you to do something. You owe me one because as a little girl, he could have killed her, but he saved her in the ice water, if you guys remember that.
I
So
I
now
own
we're,
you. I
yeah.
own you. You are
Yeah.
my
So,
property.
so now he's at the scene where he's like, I need you to
Very
do
threatening and
something.
menacing.
Yeah.
And I think Rami Malek just has those dead eyes
He
that he
does.
can really use. And like I
He
was
does.
talking about when you were off mic, normally we don't even see the Bond villains until the third act of the movie, like right at the
Yeah.
beginning,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's all about this building up this mystique. No, we see him. They did the same thing with Le Chiffre, but here it's like we start the movie off with him. Like
Yeah.
that's like he is the main villain, and if we don't know it, we do immediately. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And so now it's leading up to the scene you're talking about, the interrogation scene where she has now she has it on her hand now, right? Her hand or wrist?
Mhm. On her skin, it
Just on her
doesn't matter.
skin.
It's
Yeah.
it's
It's
inside of
inside
her.
her. Yeah. So no matter what
Yeah,
she touches.
all over. Yeah,
And now James is telling, everyone like, hey, I'm good. Like what? And then he sees her for the first time after so long.
they're
And
going to interrogate Blofeld together,
Blofeld, yeah.
and they have to see each other. And
Yeah, and she's starting to freak out because of, the impact he has. And so she's like, I can't do this. And he tries to stop her and grabs her by
were
the
you
wrist.
wondering if we were going to see her again? Because like after the beginning, I was like, are we
Yeah.
just not seeing
I
Madeline again?
no
Is
no,
that it for her?
I felt like she was gonna show up eventually because they were making it
Hmm.
seem like she was a key important part into the
Hmm.
film. Hey Christina, welcome, welcome. Glad you're here. It's okay,
Christina,
yeah, you're late. It's all good. Better late than
spoilers.
never. Yeah, we're like almost towards the middle, towards the end of the movie. So
Hmm.
he grabs her by the wrist to prevent her from leaving. Now, because he touched her, he's got it in his skin, like you said, and it never goes away. And now, as he's interrogating Blofeld, they get to the part where I forget what he said something to James that he got him so upset to where he broke, I guess a promise. Like he's like, "Oh, I got this. Like I know how to interrogate," and he went and pretty much touched him. And that was that moment that he touched him that he pretty much killed him. So what's his face wanted Madeline to do? Madeline couldn't do it, and it ended up
She
working
got
even.
it. She purposefully got it on James
Yeah, and
in the
now
hopes that he would carry it out because she didn't want to be.
she didn't.
So
Yeah,
she indirectly killed him either way, but she didn't want to be there when he died
yeah, and
because she's a
so
good person. She's not wanting to kill.
yeah, and so worked out perfectly. James is like, I don't know what's going on. This is when they start analyzing and find out that he has it.
Hmm.
Um, and
And
so
they also foreshadow. He's like, "How do I get it off?" And they're like, You can't.
you
It's
can't.
on
Yeah,
forever. There's nothing we can do to get it out of your bloodstream."
yeah. And the other interesting thing about Madeline, and I can't remember where the scene gets built up to. Oh, I think James. She told James she was going home.
Mhm.
James follows
Well,
her,
no, she left, and
but
James was the only person who figured out where she was, which is
but
her dad's old house.
But it
So,
was because she said something. It's okay. I have watched the movie. Spoil away. Okay. Oh,
mhm.
perfect, Christina. No, but she said something about she was going home, and then he was trying to figure out, and he was like, home. So he realized, because I think that's what I remember her saying, and then he realized home was where she was when she was a little girl. That's how he found her. And so, anyways, he finds out she has a daughter, where she tells him straight up lying, ladies and gentlemen, that is not his daughter.
But everybody knows. He's like,
Yeah.
"Hey," he's like, "Really? She's
Yeah.
got blue
She's got
eyes.
blue eyes. Like it was just very
She
distinct.
looks just like me.
Yeah. And
She's
she's
even she's even wearing like hot like Omega watches, drinking martinis and wearing no, she's not doing that. Can you
yeah.
imagine if she was drinking apple juice out of a little martini
Yeah,
glass?"
I know, right? That would have been, I would have loved that. So obviously it's her daughter, or yeah, it's his daughter. And
Which
so,
again, not like if she was in touch with MI6 from talking to Blofeld, is still not liking her character all that much because she could have let Bond know, you know, and
Yeah,
even now she could have let him know, but she's
she
just
didn't.
like, she's like, well, he doesn't love me anymore, so I'm not gonna tell him he had a daughter. Like he probably would have came back, Madeline. Like
Yeah, he would have. And
because you're not gonna betray someone you're having their kid. Like, it's less likely. I mean, it happens.
it happens, but it's less like, yeah, I get what you're saying,
Yeah, I
especially
mean,
with
I
him.
don't know. Is it just? I was like, oh, Madeline. Oh,
Yeah.
Madeline.
So like at
Madeline.
this part, I'm like, why haven't you told him? I'm like, maybe this will be a key part later on in
Oh
the
yeah.
film.
So he tells MI6, I don't know where she is, and then goes after them. But they're following him because they can trace him
Yeah.
with his blood, and the other 007's going after the dude who betrayed Felix and Bond to
Yeah.
steal the thing, and they have that emotional scene, and they're like, "Hey, 007's closing in on the dude," and he's like, "Well, where's he at?" And he's right there.
Yeah.
He's coming after Madeline,
He's coming after Madeline.
and so
So
we go ahead.
no, I was gonna like
On
exactly how you were telling. Like he
yeah,
pretty much he tells get in the car, they get all their stuff, and they start driving
so
away.
tense, and this is the most tense it's ever been for a Bond movie because there's a little girl in the car,
Mm-hmm.
and these bad guys will not hesitate to kill this little girl. We know
No.
that for a fact, and we're just like, "Mm," and we get one of the like we're talking cinematography, visual storytelling. We get a scene where Bond's so they're all in the car together, and there's two SUVs that are behind them on this really long, very visible one narrow highway, and you
Mm-hmm.
can see them from a far distance. They pass them, and keep going, and so you get this moment of they're safe, and then they come back, they turn
I
around,
didn't
you
get
get
that
this
moment.
menacing what?
I said I didn't get that moment. I was like, when I saw the vehicles, I
No,
was like,
no, no,
there.
not you as an
Well, yeah,
audience
yeah,
member, but
but it's
like
a some
maybe Bond and the family, like they're like,
family,
okay,
yeah,
we're fine. And all the while, like we get Madeline talking to the daughter, like it's gonna be okay, like sing a song, or like she's comforting her daughter. So this is really dramatic tension being built up. But then we get a very uneventful car chase scene where the landscapes are cool, but Bond is driving this like very low quality SUV that doesn't look like it could do 80 miles an hour without shaking.
yeah.
And these black menacing SUVs, he just knocks them off cliffs. Like they hardly even try to like do anything. They just knocks them off like little tiny cliffs, and just by ramming them. And it's like, come on, you can do something more interesting with the car chase. And like, it really goes to show you, like, Safin's minions, they suck at their job.
Yeah,
How
they
many
suck.
people does it take to take down one SUV?
I
There's
know,
like
right?
30 cars that end up chasing them, and Bond like knocks like five of them off into a cliff, and it's like the
Well,
most.
it's like
Anyway,
the
go ahead.
question you're asking, like, what his minions suck because when after that scene, they get into the forest, and look how many people are getting taken one by James, and
No, the
who's
forest scene's cool.
yeah, the forest scene's
Forest scene's
cool,
cool.
but look who ended up take snatching Madeline. He had to do it
Safin.
himself because, like you said, his minions suck.
Well,
So when he finds her, and he's just kind of like it was almost like too easy. And James didn't think he, but again, they couldn't do like that's how bad they just sucked.
and
And so
we're unsure of Safin's motivations at this point.
yeah, at
All
this
we
point we
all
don't
we
know.
know is he wanted to take down Spectre. He wants the MacGuffin, the nano virus,
Yeah, and
and
then
he's infatuated with Madeline. But so I guess you could, you know, now yeah for
yeah,
that SUV.
yeah,
I guess you could like give him a pass if you're like, oh well, they weren't trying to kill Madeline. He didn't want Madeline dead. But it's like, shoot the tires, you know, like block him. If so, this highway is really narrow. All you gotta do is block Bond on one side and block him on the other, and then shoot the tires, and then he's gonna have to pop out of the car and start shooting.
yeah.
They didn't even get him to that point. They just get knocked off of cliffs, which is like, I wouldn't buy. I don't know how that's a commercial for the SUV, because if I saw my SUV that I was thinking about buying easily get knocked off of a cliff by some random, like, not that menacing looking Jeep, I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna get a different car. But the woods scene when he escapes into the woods, this is like this is not something you would ever see in a Bond movie. This is very unique to this movie. because this is Bond having to be like, we're gonna hunker down and I'm gonna lay some traps and kind of lure these people, and they're all searching the woods for him, and it's this really tense scene. It's kind of slows the action down, but the tenseness is there, and we get a scene where he's like making a rope. He's pulling a rope between two trees so a guy in a motorcycle can like slam into the rope. And again, all these minions are like none of them are really a threat except for Madeline. Doesn't she shoot somebody?
Yeah, she
She
does.
has to shoot somebody,
She's
which
yeah.
which is horrible for her because she's never killed anybody. She's dealing with that, and her daughter does get taken away as well as her. They both get kidnapped. Um, and sorry, I mean, if you have anything to add, I'm not trying to.
No. I noticed something and I was like, oh crap. Were you reading? But no, so yeah, like as you said, the minions couldn't do anything, so he got, and like you said, at that moment you don't know what his intentions are because
Are you gonna have to dip out or no?
we can wrap
Hurry
it
it
up
up.
almost.
Hurry up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now we get to this. Let's fast forward to the scene where the new 007 and now James, because I can't remember her name. She's the
Just double
replacement.
old
007,
new
new
double
and
O.
double.
I got her name here.
They go to the
No, I
factory
don't
or the
know me.
laboratory.
Know
Know
me.
me? Okay, know me. They arrive to the area where he's creating this, and he's pretty much turning it into a weapon. It wasn't just for something, just for a few people. It's for mass.
It's a very world domination
Mhm.
thing, but like everything we get, so that yes, Bond and um Nomi, they get back together. They're going after Madeline. They get in this really cool drone that can turn into a submarine. We get this cool scene where they dive from the air into the water. I thought they were going to do more with it, but it was still cool and very, very, very classic Bond, where they're using a submersible to infiltrate an island where there's a world domination plot.
Oh
Where
yeah.
normally it's like a nuke or something or a satellite, but now it's just this virus, and we get these ships. The tensions are the stakes are really high. He's got to get Madeline. He confronts. They infiltrate this place. They take some places down. They get the scientists, and we get like everything that the villain does here. Everything that Rami Malek does, where he's talking to Madeline, where he's kind of unsettlingly taking her daughter from her and having this power play. He's like, I have all these plants because I'm obsessed with plants now, and that's the thing that we just introduced, which is kind of but it's really cool because he plays it so well. And he's like, I got a plant that can make people do what I tell them to, which is like, ooh, because he wants to have this like dollhouse fantasy where he has this fake family that he's forcibly, making his family, and he's gonna make Madeline drink tea, so that he has control over her and is the new dad for her daughter. And Bond ends up kind of confronting him to where he's like, "All right, I'll give you the daughter if you leave me Madeline. Okay, I can do that. You can have your daughter. Just get out of my island." Which is like Bond, like, don't trust him. He's gonna shoot you immediately. Like it's like
Yeah,
don't do that.
and he did. Yeah.
And then this guy, Bond kills everybody in the room, and except for him, and dude gets taken in a trapdoor elevator, and it's like,
Yeah.
what? And like they somehow or another they figure it
Well,
out, and they're evacuating the island, and so everybody's leaving. Except I'm trying to wrap it up because I know you got to get
no,
off.
yeah. But I was gonna say real quick, let's get to, okay, so as they're leaving, right? Safin has
Mhm.
the daughter, has James Bond daughter. What was it? His whole plan, unless he already, he's already like the deed is done. Why does he let her go? He's like, you
I
can
don't
go
know.
without my
I
protection.
don't
That's
know.
the
That's what I'm
only
saying.
part.
The third act of this movie is just kind of
But
rushed.
I think it's because I think he was more like, I don't need her anymore, because he's like, I know who I need. He
Yeah.
probably knew, was James, kind of pretty much James. And so I think he just kind of was like, I'll let her go because it's a big place. She'll get lost. And then that just maybe he was trying to give him more time to escape or distract James Bond while he's trying to find his daughter. I don't know. So yes, it did not make sense, but he let her go. And then you get to
Yeah,
the,
she's just like, "Can I go?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure."
yeah, and he just let her
She's-
go.
but like
Which
at that point, I think he knows he's kind of like
like I
like
said,
he's been bested, and he's just like, I don't even care. I just want to get Bond now. Like,
well
and
that
he's got a what he says is insurance, which is a vial of the nanovirus that is tailored to Madeline's DNA. So
DNA, yeah,
therefore, if he gets it on himself, he can easily kill Madeline and her daughter.
yeah.
So it's like his hold over her if the tea doesn't work. But anyway, it's a lot of this rush stuff going. We get a lot of like Bond is like kind of John wicking the people in the stairwell, which we get this really long. Like I didn't feel like we needed this long of him taking
Doing all
out
that.
guys on a stairwell. Like it doesn't feel that like, Bond doesn't usually do that, and it doesn't feel like that doesn't excite me to see Bond. Like I like Bond doing like
I
using
think they I think
gadgets or quickly dispatching or running or
I think they did that.
outsmarting.
I think they did that to build the
Tension.
tension, yeah, because it's like everyone's kind of like, okay, he needs to. These missiles are in the air now. He needs
Yeah.
to. Because if you remember, that missiles already in the air because James was like, shoot him, let him
Mhm.
go. Like
Well,
I will open up the
he
doors.
opened the thing, and I think he was
He
working his
op-
way to the control center with the
yeah
shootout,
he ended up opening because
so the
remember
missiles
Q.
weren't in the air yet.
No, well, I thought he already opened it because
I
Q was like
I thought
Q was gonna
everybody
help
left
him.
after he opened it. Because after he
No,
opened it, he's like, "All right, I'm gonna leave now." And then the last person there was Safin, which is like, why did he stay behind? But they want to take out the virus, and either way,
yeah,
we
just
get the long
anyways,
scene. It's because I'm trying to get
he
to
gets
the
he
most.
get he gets well. Let's just get to the part. He meets Safin now because
Well,
Safin
and
closed the
before
doors.
that,
Safin closed the doors.
he rescues Madeline, and 007 Nomi takes the daughter and
Them
Madeline
away.
away from the
Yeah,
island, and he's like, "I'll be right there." Definitely
yeah,
not gonna. That's gonna
yeah.
happen to me. I'll be right there. And we get this final confrontation where it's like, "Why is Safin there?" Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was about time 9 minutes. Yeah.
but not to leave the island. Like that's
Well, he
you're
had to
trying to
leave too
escape
because
missile.
he had that much time to open it up and leave. In which he, like you said, he told Madeline and them is like, hey,
Yeah.
like promising. Which as an audience, you're kind of like, here's the happy ending to a film. You're like, okay, he's gonna save the world one last time because the movie says no time to die. He's gonna save
Oh,
the
by the way, at the beginning of the movie, he told Madeline, she's like, "I wish we could stay here forever." He goes, "We have all the time in the world," or something like that,
oh
which
yeah,
comes back at the end.
back to the
But
end, yeah.
but
So okay, so Safin closes up the doors and he realizes and that they're closing up. And I think it was Q who had mentioned like, hey, the doors are closing. So now he's rushing back up to the control room and seeing what's going on. And that's when now, because this is the important part. Like I know we're
the
kind of
only
rushing,
way
but
they can take out the nanovirus is if the blast doors of this evil layer
yeah, or
are open and Bond is able to open it. This is also a scene where I have where Q is trying to talk to him about how to do it. He's like,
and he's just
"There's
kind of like,
no way you could possibly know how to do it because it looks like you're starting a freight train, and that is one of the hardest processes to do." And Bond just figures it out somehow.
he's
Like
just like
there's
does a couple things and
he's
it's just
just a
like opens
superhero
up.
all of a sudden. He just
Yeah,
figures it out, and he's like, "Got it." And I'm just like, you could just made it a button. Like there was no need to make it such a complicated process. So anyway,
yeah.
that happens. It turns out someone closed it. Turns out it was Safin. Him and Safin have to fight. Apparently, at this point, I'm like, what is Safin's motivations? Like, does he just hate Bond now? Is that his thing? And
Yeah, and that's what
I think it's more of a like, if I can't have Madeline, nobody can. And
like at this part of the film, I was getting frustrated because I was like, okay, what's going on? He's closing the door. Like, what are you guys doing? Because Bond needs to reopen this door, kill this guy, and then leave the island. Which now, like you said, what was his whole intention? And now you see the vile part
yeah, I
of
think too with Nomi killing the scientist, it kind of makes his whole plans obsolete because you need the scientists there to tailor everybody's DNA to the virus. But you could get another scientist.
yeah. I mean, Safin kind of knew he was like, this is like, if I'm going down, you're going down with me, James. And so I forget how he got it on his cheek. I think was he trying to like, I
He
don't know.
broke it. He broke the
he,
vial.
I know, but like, how did James get so close to where he ended up breaking it on his cheek? I think he was trying to like tackle him, or I don't know, or maybe the ground. I can't
All I
remember.
remember is I don't remember the fight, but it was in a really cool environment because it's with the plants and the water garden and all that, which was really cool looking. It was
Yeah.
very violent, very very violent for a fight scene, and it reminded me of the end of Squid Game for whatever reason because I just
Yeah. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, this was the for me the touching part. And as I tell you, the touching part, it was a pleasure to be here. Have a
yeah.
nice rest of the night, guys. Thank you so much for being here.
My trans series. Thank you.
We appreciate you. So have a good night. So this is the part, you guys. This is the touching part for, I'm pretty sure, a lot of people. As he realizes what happened, he's going back to the control room to open the doors. I think he was talking to Q, whatever, it doesn't matter. He finally gets through because he said, I need to talk to
He was
Madeline.
talking to Nomi.
Nomi, okay. And
He's
he's
like,
like,
put or no, he was talking to Q, and then he got transferred to Nomi to
to
talk.
Nomi, yeah, to talk to Madeline, because now
Wow,
you
that's
guys,
arbitrary details.
yeah, right. He's
Splitting hairs.
now at the point where he knows that like he's got to die because now this nanovirus is in him, and he knows that if he gets close to them or touches them, kisses, because even in a kiss. So now he's realizing she was not part of anything. This is the one true love that he wished he could have, like you said, had more time with. And he said, and
And he's
to
got a
like,
daughter.
he's got a daughter, but to like James Bond in all the films, he's trying to save the world. And for him to save the world, he needed to, especially his world, his daughter and his could have been a wife. He had to die because him being next to him was literally, he was toxic. And so it killed me because I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to kill him off.
And
And I'm just
he
like,
tells her, he goes, I'm about to die, and she goes, now's no time to die.
yeah. Yeah. Right.
No,
And
she
so,
doesn't say that. She doesn't say that.
and it's just like, it was a touching moment. I love the build up. I love what the director did. And it was just like the perfect, I mean, if James had to go, like I was okay with him like going like that because of, you know, the woman that he loves, his daughter. It wasn't something stupid where it was just kind of like, I don't know, Safin like shot him in the heart and he died and you were like, that's it. And then like, I don't know. So it was a perfect build up as he's trying to like, they're showing the scene between them two talking. He's getting to the control room. He opens it up and he's just like saying goodbye and I love you. And it
And he
broke
goes
me.
outside to a tower.
Yeah, to
So
see, to
yeah,
kind of just like
and he tells her, he goes, she's like, I want more time with you, and he's like, we have all the time in the world, which is obviously a lie. He's about to
lie,
die.
yeah. Yeah,
But it was
and
a callback to the beginning of the movie.
yeah,
So,
and and yeah, Christina, just it broke me because it was like they said goodbye, and you're just like, how crazy that everything James did from the beginning film to this film of like saving the world and everything he's done, and like this is probably one of the hardest things he had to do was just kind of like I said, as a director, it was perfect to end the film with him dying in this way, and I accept it, and I liked it.
and this is the only time he essentially saves the world
Yeah, he
because
saved the world because
there
like
was
that was
actually a
a
world-ending threat
yeah,
here.
it wasn't
Where
just about
yeah,
her. That's why I said like his mission is always to save the world. So not only did he save the actual world, but he saved his world. Like I said, when you have that, so it was beautifully done. And real quick, let me give you my review, my bat score. I'm giving this one I got to give it a 10 out of 10 bats. I really enjoyed it as a film. Like, yeah, it's not, to me, it's probably not going to be number one over Casino Royale after I watch all the films, but it was just the pacing of the film, the different characters, giving certain people like Felix more time and having a good villain, with Safin and just having his daughter and you just like I'm connecting. Like there was one thing that I like in a film is if you can get me to connect with, I'm already connected to Bond, but you have me connecting and caring about their relationship and now his daughter. And then, in the whole film, I'm thinking how you're going to end this film, how you're going to end this film. And you end it like that. Like it was beautifully done. The pacing, the anticipation, there's just kind of like, I was thinking he was going to survive. And then you're just like realizing, wow, this is the last film and Bond is about to die. And this is how he's going to die. So again, it got broken there was the end of the film. So for me, the music, the everything, especially the introduction, 10 out of 10 bats. What do you give it?
I would give it an 8.5. But I think mostly because I'm judging it based on the other Bond movies. This isn't what I want out of a Bond movie. It's a really good conclusion to the Bond franchise, and it's a really good like blockbuster action movie. But this isn't what I want out of a Bond movie because it's very all over the place. They're doing a lot of like conclusions here, so they have to like they give Felix a conclusion. They give that they're setting up that like, oh, there's another Bond coming. And he's not even really 007 most of this movie. He's just a retired guy, kind of getting back in the fold. Um, and I think the third act of this movie, despite them, I think sticking the landing with him dying, and even like I felt like the funeral scene at the end where they're just kind of drinking. I felt was kind of underwhelming. None of them had a martini. Like they missed the opportunity to have like some kind of homage to like Bond as a character, but they
Mhm.
literally they have this like really expensive glass of bourbon that's like 50 years old, and they're just like, hey, we're gonna or scotch, I think. But it's just like it's kind of like uneventful after he died. I never really was sold on his chemistry with Madeline, and I felt like the
Mm.
villain, one of the best villains, just confused me at the end with the whole, hey, you know, you can go, little girl, and I'm gonna stay behind. And I think what he did was awesome, but I never really understood what he intended, like why he wanted to take over the world, why he wanted Madeline, what he wanted most. And but I think the best Bond movie, like if you want to watch a Bond movie that stands alone, you don't necessarily need to see any other Bond movies. Skyfall is the best. Like, you started out, you have the most beautiful scenes. Like, there's a scene in Skyfall where Bond is wearing his suit, a tuxedo with his bow tie, riding on a boat in a place in, I think, Singapore or whatever. But he's riding up to this casino where there's fireworks. It's nighttime. There's fireworks going off behind him. There's dragon figurines flying around. There's lanterns on the ground, and it's just the most elegant thing you've ever seen. And it's like that is Bond. Like him going into a place to get stuff done and have this kind of romanticized, elegant, beautiful scene and set piece set up. We get some of those there with like the cinematography here. We get the espionage. This is a very espionage thriller, but
Yeah.
I don't like this Bond because like I don't like it when he's going up against a world-ending threat. I like it more like in Skyfall or Casino Royale when it's very personal, when it's small scale, where he's actually like connected to the villain in a way.
Yeah.
And it's just like I said, none of the highest highs in this. His death felt like they filmed like 15 different endings, and they're just like, yeah, we're gonna go with this one. To me, like it was sad. I like how they set it up with the lines. I felt like it made the villain better posthumously because he basically won. He won. He stopped Bond from having any kind of future,
Yeah.
um, whether he survived or not. And I think Bond kind of earned his place in cinematic. Daniel Craig earns his place in cinematic history as Bond with this movie. But at the end of the day, am I going to watch this more than I'm going to watch Casino Royale or Skyfall? No.
Mhm.
I'm going to watch those if I want to watch a Bond movie. So yeah, 8.5. I would say this is number 3 for me. So we're talking Skyfall, then Casino Royale, then No Time to Die, Quantum of Solace, and Spectre. That's my rank.
Gotcha. Yeah, and like I said, I gotta rewatch him, but right now, it's behind Casino Royale. Could be tied to Skyfall. So, but yeah, ladies and gentlemen, great. I mean, go watch the film. It's a good film, especially if you've watched a few. I mean, even if you haven't watched all the films, I mean, it might not make as much sense, but I mean, you can
If
still go
I
watch
would
it.
say you have to have seen at least one Bond film
Yeah, one at least
because
watch
they won't
one.
have any emotional weight.
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
But definitely
this
go
maybe
watch.
not Spectre, even though it's right before this, and
Yeah.
it's just a boring movie.
Yeah, but yeah, ladies and gentlemen, real quick, I want to thank Justin to come in, and it's been a minute. Miss talking to you,
Honored.
like I
Thank you
said,
for having me.
it's this is how I love getting deep into conversations about films. And then I think this is a great film to kind of go on. It's not something basic like a Disney film or something. And the link to his channels below, you guys,
uh,
Pretentious Pop Culture, check it out. Also, the other part of this trio is Lucas, and I'll get there. We'll probably, hopefully, eventually, will be three of us doing of some kind of film, which I think you guys already did it. But real quick, well, we'll see, because I know I've done Venom. I watched Venom. I haven't done a movie review on it.
Yeah,
But,
we don't even know like when it's Marvel to like even reach out to you. But
yeah.
if you didn't know, Moneypenny in this was in Venom too, as
Oh, okay.
Shriek,
I didn't know.
Naomi Harris.
I
So,
didn't know.
but anyway, yeah, I don't know what Lucas's plans are with Dune. I think that's their next big
Okay. I mean,
podcast. If you want to be
well,
involved with that,
yeah. I mean, we
um,
can all talk because I
that's
know.
coming. Dune is coming out this Thursday. Maybe and Friday, I think on HBO Max, if not earlier. So if you
Okay.
can't go to the theater, please go see that movie. That is like everything I want out of a movie. It's by the director of my favorite movie of all time, Blade Runner 2049. Alex, if you haven't seen that,
Yeah.
go
I
watch the original Blade Runner if you haven't seen it, and then go
okay.
watch
I will.
HBO Max. I think Blade Runner is on Netflix, and the
Yeah.
sequel is on HBO Max.
Yeah. So definitely. Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll keep in touch. But yeah. Thank you
You
guys
watched
for.
Dune already, Katrina?
How did she watch it already?
The remake?
I enjoyed
Thanks,
watching you
Ashley.
guys. You guys have a good night. Thank you. I appreciate you. But yeah, each and every one of you guys, we appreciate you. We love you. It was fun. Like I said, we'll get in contact with Lucas, but I had to bring in
Is it on
Justin and the
HBO
people.
already, Katrina?
She said yes, the new one. Oh, well, she has her ways of watching certain movies, so I think that's how she's watching it. Um
Hey, Katrina, what's up? You wanna get some coffee, some stuff? You make
Hey, but Dune will be a good one to talking about great films. Watch that, you guys. Thank you for being here, especially you guys all the way towards the end. We appreciate you guys. Again, his link to his channels down below. Subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, the link's below. And
Pretentious Pop Culture, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter,
all of it.
all
Yeah,
that
you
good
go.
stuff.
But yeah, pay attention to Instagram on the next podcast for my channel or for my chat with the bat. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, always be yourself unless you can be Batman. Then
Jimmy
always
Bond. I mean
be
Batman.
always be